The chief task in life is to distinguish what we cannot control from what we can control. We must seek good and evil in our own choices, not in the world outside. Epictetus. Let's get one thing straight. Stoicism hasn't to do with chasing wealth or accumulating stuff. Sure, you can become rich following these principles. Just look at Seneca, one of the wealthiest ancient philosophers. But Stoicism aims far deeper. You've got to build a life that's truly rich with what matters, calm and fulfillment. Picture yourself stuck in rush-hour traffic with your frustration bubbling up. But instead of letting anger take the wheel, you feel a sense of calm, a quiet power to choose your response. That's the transformative power of Stoicism. In this episode, you'll explore how this ancient philosophy can help you master your reactions and live a life rich with meaning, regardless of what life throws your way. But how do you achieve this unshakable calm? It all starts with perception, and this takes us to Chapter 1. The Power of Perception. So, what's in your control? Really, when you boil it down, it's all about your perspective. Stoicism hands you this powerful lens. Whatever happens, you decide if it's good or bad. Once you understand this, you're in the driver's seat. Life throws a curveball. You call it an opportunity. Take a simple example. Your flight gets delayed. Now, you could yell at the staff or stew in your frustration, but where does that get you? Instead, Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can change and let go of what we can't. You can't control the weather, but you can control how you use that extra hour. Read a book, strike up a conversation, reflect on your day. These are your choices. Think deeper. Your life right now, what parts are up to you? What's not? Get clear on this, and your stress levels will drop. Even more, you'll also outsmart others stuck battling against the inevitable. This is a daily, practical toolkit for anyone. Whether you're dealing with workplace drama or family pressures, Stoicism teaches you to stay calm and tactical, no matter what goes on around you, chaos or not. Think about how an eagle sharpens its focus on the essentials. Similarly, you too can choose how you perceive life's twists. View them as opportunities, not setbacks. Even snakes shed their worn-out skin, ready to release old grievances and seize new possibilities with fresh energy. Or, think about how lions use their courage to confront life's uncertainties head-on. But before we plunge our minds deeper into Stoicism, ask yourself, how often do you waste energy on things beyond your control? This brings us to Chapter 2. The Choice in Your Hands. Here's a reality check for you. Every single day, good or bad, you're faced with choices. But before we get into that, let's talk about your mindset. A mindset is a set of deep-seated beliefs that dictate how you interpret the world. It shapes every decision you make. So, getting to understand your mindset is important. It doesn't matter if you're behind bars or running the most successful company in the world. The playing field is leveled when it comes to your choices. Think about it. We all face life's ups and downs, thrilling highs and gut-wrenching lows. Across all these moments, you have the same powerful tool at your disposal: choice. This freedom to choose can liberate you. It's what prevents you from spiraling when life tosses problems your way that you can't fix. Your choices define your journey, whether you're going through personal tragedies or celebrating major victories. So, before you decide on anything in life, pause. Then ask yourself, what's under my control here? Stoicism doesn't mean you have to exert your energy where it's pointless. You must channel your efforts where they count. This clarity simplifies decision-making and removes stress. Stoicism prompts us to put some distance between our knee-jerk reactions and our actions. Take a beat. Evaluate your options with a cool head. Draw up a list of pros and cons if it helps, but anchor your decisions in logic, not whim. In Stoicism, a life well lived is one that's aligned with nature and rationality, and you will come to find that this notion will be reiterated from time to time as an incessant reminder, as we shall do with many other essential Stoic beliefs and principles. But for now, contemplate the long-term impact of your decisions. Are you nurturing your growth, or are you deciding on a quick fix that'll haunt you later? Living virtuously is key in Stoicism, and virtue is something you will also find reiterated every time Stoicism is discussed, for it is an essential belief. When you're at a crossroads, align your choice with your core values. Decisions meshed with your ethical beliefs are easier to make and are easier to live with. Remember, according to Stoic teachings, the only true power you wield is over your own actions. You might nail the decision-making process and still face unexpected outcomes. Brace yourself for any scenario. This mindset reduces anxiety around decisions because you're prepared for any result. We'll talk more about anxiety and decision-making later, but for now, you should also know that Stoicism teaches ownership. Once you've made your choice, stand by it. If things don't pan out, don't waste time on regret. Instead, own your decision, learn from the outcome, and use that knowledge to refine future choices. This approach solves your problems for you. Furthermore, it builds character. Reflect on the story of J.K. Rowling, whose journey to becoming a best-selling author was filled with challenges. Imagine the creator of the world's most beloved book series receiving rejection after rejection from publishers. Each no could have been the end, yet it wasn't. Why? Because she chose to persevere. Each rejection was a fork in the road. She had to either give up or keep going. Rowling's firm belief in her work reaffirms a key Stoic principle. You must maintain your course in the face of setbacks. Likewise, you should stay committed to your vision. Use each rejection as a tool for learning, refining, and pushing forward. Now, this is a true lesson in ownership. So, now you must ask yourself, when faced with rejection, do you wither like a defeatist, or do you take it as a challenge to improve and prove your detractors wrong? Now, let's dive into Chapter 3. What you think, you become. You know that saying, you become what you eat? Well, philosophically speaking, you become what you think. Your mind molds and shapes itself around your thoughts. If you constantly dwell on the negative, guess what? Your world turns grey. Depending on how ill your thoughts are, your world could even turn much darker. But there's another way. Thinking positively can transform your day-to-day reality. Here's the straight talk. Your mindset determines not only how you see the world, but how you blossom and succeed in it. Think of a growth mindset as the belief that you're a work in progress. It's the idea that with effort and persistence, you can expand your intelligence and hone your skills. Nothing is set in stone. A fixed mindset, on the other hand, is the trap of thinking you're limited to what you were born with. It's a dead-end road where challenges are avoided, risks are avoided, all because in your mind, failure seems preordained to you. Let's take the example of Michael Jordan, who is often hailed as a symbol of the growth mindset in the world of sports. After being cut from his high school basketball team, did he call it quits? Absolutely not. Instead, Jordan transformed that rejection into raw fuel for his ambition. He trained with tireless and undying dedication. He not only rejoined the team, but also rose to become one of the greatest basketball players in history. His journey beautifully demonstrates the fact that all manner of skills can be developed with persistence and resilience. Now, imagine you're a software developer suddenly facing the deterring task of switching from Java to Python. a language you've never touched before. Do you panic? Nope, not you. You see this as a prime opportunity to upgrade your skills. You dig into online courses, join coding groups, practice daily, and within 6 months you become proficient in Python, and you've also become the go-to expert in your company, maybe even snagging a well-deserved promotion or expanding your freelance client base. In yet another scenario, suppose you dream of opening a coffee shop in an area full with competitors. With a growth mindset, you don't see a saturated market. Instead, you spot a chance to innovate. You carefully study what existing cafes are doing right and wrong, experiment with unique coffee blends and menu items, and actively seek feedback from the local community. Your dedication to never stop improving creates a dedicated customer base, setting your cafe apart and making it a local favorite. On a personal level, let's say you're overweight, and then one day you decided to get fit after years of a sedentary lifestyle. The initial phase is tough, and you can't keep up with others at the gym. Do you give up? No. You set achievable step-by-step goals. You celebrate each small victory and adjust your fitness and diet plans based on your body's feedback. Over time, you would improve your fitness and establish a sustainable lifestyle of health and wellness. So, for now, ask yourself this: what's your regular vibe? Do you lean into challenges with a bring-it-on attitude, or do you back away, fearing failure? The more you entertain negative thoughts, the darker your view of the world becomes. But there's another fix, and it's by practicing gratitude. So, start doing that, and focus on the good in everything. After all, you were born with the potential for greatness through wisdom. No matter what life throws at you, one thing remains under your control: the quality of your character. Don't be the person who knows the cost of everything, but the value of nothing. Remember, it's not the events themselves that upset us, but how we interpret them. By shifting our perspective and shedding negative judgments, we unlock a new level of peace and resilience. Character is something we'll talk more about later, but for now, let's talk a bit about humility, for it's a tricky game. We're not talking about the kind of humility that turns into a self-deprecating show. We're after a deeper, more genuine humility. This doesn't mean you have to lower yourself. No, it means you have to recognize your true place in the universe. We are mere specks in this very universe. We are fully mortal. We are completely fallible. Accepting this kind of humility frees us rather than belittles us. Now, ask yourself, how often do I let my thoughts color my experience negatively? What would change if I focused only on what I can influence and let go of what I cannot? To dig deeper into the subject matter, think of humility this way: every breath you take, every moment you live, is a gift. Now, you're not groveling or self-pitying. You're simply recognizing that we all come from the earth, and to it we will return. The word humility itself comes from the Latin humus, meaning soil. It's a reminder of our roots and our ultimate return to the earth. You might be still wondering, why bother with humility? Well, remembering our mortality helps us live more fully. It's a wake-up call, not a reason to despair. Just as an olive falls from the tree at peak ripeness, grateful to the tree and earth that raised it, we too should aim to live fully and then depart gracefully, thankful for the life we've been given. And from this humility blooms gratitude, the realization of life as an unearned blessing. Simple, right? Just count your blessings. But here's the catch: it's tough. Our daily struggles, the constant bad news, and our own tangled thoughts often cloud our view. Yet, finding moments of clarity to appreciate what we have is very important. Nonetheless, it's a most powerful remedy against cynicism, anger, and the small annoyances that chip away at our happiness. Gratitude also restrains that nagging desire to always want more. guiding us back to what truly matters. It reconnects us with a sense of wonder about our world and our place in it. This isn't just a nice idea, it's a core Stoic practice. From Seneca to Marcus Aurelius, Stoics have preached gratitude as the foundation of all virtues. Take a moment now and think. What are you thankful for? Not just the big things, but also the small joys and the quiet moments of peace. Recognize them and let that gratitude push you to engage more deeply with life, to live passively and with active thankfulness. So, think about how you can start seeing your life through this lens, starting from today, and then ask yourself, what changes would arise if and when you do? Now, let's move to Chapter 4. Simplify your choices. Simplify your life. Let's get real about making life easier, not harder. Stoicism tells us a vital secret. Life is full of shortcuts, if you know where to look. Happiness, freedom, respect, and even a sense of wealth. These aren't just handed to us, they're choices we make every day. You might think, how can I choose to be happy or feel respected? Here's the thing we should remember once more. Stoicism teaches that we're in charge of how we respond to life's events. Sometimes, fate throws us curves, setting a path we often can't change. The Stoics believed in fate as an unchangeable course, things that are just meant to be, no matter what we do. But here's the thing, they also believed in providence, a guiding force ensuring everything has a reason, fitting into a bigger plan. Think about it like this. Everything is part of a grand design, a greater plan. Yet, even in this predetermined game, we've got moves to make. Stoicism dictates that we shouldn't feel trapped by fate. We ought to be handling it with style. Our free will might play within set boundaries, but we still call the shots within those lines. That's where the Stoic magic happens. We make choices that align with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, the big four virtues that define a life well lived. Simplicity can be achieved by following these four essential virtues. Even though life's script may have its acts and scenes laid out, the Stoics argued that we're still free to improvise our dialogues and actions. And that's determinism for you. You've got to play your part with a sense of purpose, aligning your choices with nature and reason. But why does this matter? Because living this way leads to inner peace and genuine contentment. When you align with these Stoic principles, no setback can truly unsettle you. You understand the play, you know your role, and you act with full confidence. In life, whether you lean more toward the freedom-loving libertarian view or find comfort in the balanced compatibilist stance, remember this. The essence of free will in Stoicism is about choosing wisely within the boundaries life sets. This doesn't limit you, it liberates you. So, ask yourself, what choices can you make today that align with the virtues of Stoicism? And how can you turn the inevitable into your advantage? Now, when you hear about hard determinism, it might feel like a trap. This belief says that everything about you, how you act, what you think, is pre-programmed by your genetics and your environment. According to this view, the idea that you're choosing your path is just an illusion. But Stoicism throws a wrench into this deterministic machine through our acknowledgement of free will. Think about it. Life throws countless challenges at you. Stoicism teaches you to distinguish between what you can control and what you can't. You are not resigning yourself to fate. You are focusing your energy on what truly matters, your actions and your attitudes. Yes, Stoics accept determinism to an extent. They see it as a tool, not a cage. It's a way to recognize what's out of your hands, and more importantly, to utilize the power of what's in your hands. Now, let's get into the practical side of Stoicism and simplicity. Seneca once said, "Even things you get for free have a cost." But what is that cost, you might ask? It could be disorder in your home or disorder in your mind. Learning to live with less doesn't mean you have to deprive yourself. You have to make room for what truly enriches your life. Take a moment to look around you. That item gathering dust in the corner of your room, do you really need it? By choosing to let go of what you don't need, you free up physical and mental space for the things that matter most. Always remember that in Stoicism, you're learning how to live a streamlined life, focused on virtue and meaning. So, ask yourself, what complexities are you holding on to that you could let go of today? And why did I choose to let go of most of my possessions? You know, in a world crammed with endless distractions and choices that just keep coming, there's something strongly peaceful about simplicity. Think about it again. Every extra possession, every unneeded desire, every pointless worry, they all pile up, weighing you down. When you start stripping these away, what are you left with? Space. Space for joy, for peace, for real connections. Living simply lets you zero in on the essentials. It sharpens your focus on virtues like wisdom, courage, and self-control. By lowering the volume on life's background noise, you connect more deeply with yourself and those around you. This builds stronger, more meaningful relationships, and it creates a true sense of belonging. Choosing simplicity is bold. It goes against the norm. In a society that often equates more with better, it takes guts to say, enough. It's a disciplined choice to value your own well-being over the momentary approval of others. But this choice, it unlocks a richer, more content life. By simplifying, you shield yourself from the world's chaos. You build a fortress of stability and security. You come to realize that your worth isn't tied to your stuff or your status. Simplicity becomes your sanctuary, your mini-paradise, a place of calm in the storm of life, offering you strength and solace when times get tough. And here's where minimalism ties ever deeper into Stoicism. By decluttering your space, you bring order and clarity to your environment, mirroring the Stoic quest for inner calm. Choosing with intention is what minimalism is all about. You're choosing quality over quantity. Every item you keep has a purpose, and everything else, let it go. This careful curation of your life forces you to be mindful about what you consume and why. As you strip away the excess, what appears is a life of tranquility and purpose. You stop chasing after material wealth and start appreciating the richness of experiences and personal growth. This shift away from materialism toward a focus on the real, genuine rewards of life is what will bring you a strong sense of fulfillment and self-awareness. So ask yourself, what excess can you cut out? How might simplifying your life give you back control and lead you to true contentment? Is your mind ready to dig deeper? Let's explore. Chapter 5. The Art of Inner Reflection. Aside from being a philosophy, Stoicism is also a call to action. It dares you to turn your scrutiny inward, challenging you to question what you do and why you do it. Every morning, as the sun rises, ask yourself, what's really important in my life? You already hold the answers to the biggest questions of life. You might think these truths are hidden in books or whispered by gurus, but they're within you. Honesty is your only requirement here. Don't be too harsh on yourself. Remember, everyone starts somewhere, and the potential to grow is the true gift. Contemplate on how your self-concept shapes everything. It influences how you feel, how you judge, and how you act. By knowing who you are and who you are becoming, you can strengthen this self-concept. Change is constant, and understanding your evolving self is crucial. Take a practical scenario. Perhaps a presentation at work didn't go as planned. Rather than just feeling frustrated, take a moment, reflect. Recognize that maybe, just maybe, you didn't practice enough. And no, this isn't failure, it's a lesson. Next time, you'll be ready to rehearse with a colleague or a friend before the real deal. Or maybe you've just ended a relationship. It's easy to point fingers, but what about your role in it all? Reflecting on your actions can provide insights that prevent future mistakes in romance and in all relationships. So, how do you begin this journey of inner reflection? It's simple. Set aside some quiet time each day. Ask yourself critical questions. What are my goals? What values do I hold dear? What are my strengths, and where do I falter? What have been my successes, and what have I learned from my failures? What could I have done differently? Stoicism teaches that the unexamined life isn't worth living. Or, actually, Socrates said that. It implores you to dig deep and discover who you are and who you can become. This way, you're setting the foundations for a life well lived. So, take this knowledge, apply it daily, and watch as your life transforms through the powerful practice of Stoicism. And while you're fully immersed in this Stoic journey, keep remembering that self-reflection is key to personal growth and mental strength. Yet, this practice can slip into dangerous territory, turning into rumination, excessive self-criticism, or never-ending comparison to others. What does this look like? It might be the endless loop of stressful thoughts, where worry consumes your mental space. It could be the harsh inner critic that constantly sees you as inadequate, or the negative whispers in your mind that hold you back from pursuing what you truly desire. Perhaps it's the continuous habit of measuring your worth against others, feeling always a step behind. Stoicism recognizes these traps and offers a strong defense through self-compassion and a focus on actionable change. Think about how you'd treat a friend in need, offering reassurance, focusing on their strengths, and encouraging practical steps forward. This is the compassion you must afford yourself. When self-reflection stirs anxiety, change your thoughts. Instead of wallowing in what's wrong, identify what you can change and make plans to act. For instance, if a work presentation didn't turn out well, don't spiral into worry. Approach it as a learning opportunity. What can be improved? Maybe it's your preparation or your delivery. Set a plan, practice more, seek feedback. There's no other way. Be honest but gentle with yourself during these reflective moments. Avoid self-blame. Record your failures and set a roadmap for personal excellence. For example, if you discover a gap in your skills, outline steps to enhance your knowledge or seek opportunities for practice. If negative thought patterns come up, consciously work to replace them with positive affirmations and constructive actions. If you think you can do this, then you know you can. It's all in your mind. Beyond what the mind thinks, it's up to your actions to fulfill it. Again, remember that Stoicism teaches you that wisdom lies in controlling what we can and letting go of what we cannot. Always keep in mind that you've got the power within you. It's all in your mind, and your actions bring it to life. Now, let's examine deeper into what really defines us in Chapter 6. Rethinking Value, Character over Labels. In Stoicism, your character isn't just a part of you, it is you. Forget about superficial labels, your skin color, your clothes. These are irrelevant. What truly matters, what truly defines you, is your character. This is the essence that you produce daily through your actions and decisions. It's what makes you memorable, what creates your legacy, and what you'll be remembered for. Think about this. When buying a horse, would you obsess over the saddle and not the strength and spirit of the horse itself? Seneca pointed out the folly in such behavior. Likewise, focusing on the circumstances of your birth, essentially your saddle and riding gear, is insignificant compared to the nobility of your character, which is the horse in this analogy. Now, consider our modern predicament. We inherit this remarkable tool, our intellect, and yet, how do we use it? We squander it on trivial pursuits. One more TV episode, another game watched from the couch. Acquiring necessities isn't inherently difficult. Our intelligence could make it simple. However, we've complicated it with a never-ending pursuit of excess, a never-ending cycle of consumption and busyness. This is normal, but only in the sense that it's common. Yet, there are those who choose a different path. They are the ones so absorbed by the potential of their minds and the appeal of wisdom that they strive for a higher existence. These individuals aim to rise above the ordinary. They endeavor to live almost divinely, exceeding the baseness of sheer accumulation. These are the true philosophers, the genuine lovers of wisdom. Let's get into a bit of history. After successfully leading Rome through a crisis, Lucius Quinctius Cincinnatus didn't grasp power, but instead returned to his humble farming life. This action sharply contrasts with today's obsession with status and accumulation, teaching us that true value lies not in holding on to power, but in the ability to let it go. What we can learn here is that real satisfaction comes from serving others, and then retreating to simplicity, focusing on the core of who we are rather than the glamour of authority. Furthermore, during the devastating Antonine Plague, Emperor Marcus Aurelius became a model of Stoic endurance, steering an empire through disaster with a steady hand. His commitment to his duties and the welfare of his people, despite suffering personal losses, remarkably represents the Stoic belief that external situations should not upset our internal calm. This makes us think, how can we too stay true to our values in the face of life's disturbances? Then there was Diogenes the cynic, who one day observed a child drinking from his hands. Since then, Diogenes discarded his own cup, rejecting the unnecessary comforts of life. This act confronts our modern fixation with material goods, highlighting the Stoic philosophy that values independence and simplicity over luxury. Diogenes' choice to embrace minimalism prompts us to rethink our needs and what it means to live a meaningful, self-sufficient life. And when Alexander the Great offered to fulfill any wish for him, Diogenes simply asked him not to block the sun. This interaction shows us the Stoic ideal that true wealth and freedom come from the independence of our spirit. Fascinating, no? This also challenges us to examine if we place too much value on external validation rather than on our inner sovereignty. Speaking of external validation, we will come to that in much greater detail in a later chapter. But for now, let's continue on our anecdotal reminiscence and make mention of Emperor Antoninus Pius, who avoided the temptation of conquest and warfare and instead dedicated his rule to peace, stability, and the welfare of his people. His leadership prioritized duty and communal well-being over personal gain. His reign invites us to envision what leadership could look like when it's free from vanity and committed to the common good. And then we have Heraclitus. While living as a hermit, he discovered enlightenment next to a simple oven. His life illustrates that wisdom and character are developed not through social status or wealth, but by seeking to understand universal truths, even in modest settings. This begs us to look past conventional measures of success and appreciate the constancy of change and the simplicity of living authentically. To live like them, to aspire to this nobility, start by questioning your daily choices. Are they enhancing your character or just your comfort? Do your activities elevate your intellect or merely entertain it? Embrace this Stoic challenge. Focus on building a character so powerful, so virtuous, that it leads you through life and toward a more enlightened existence. After all, Stoicism has been the foundation of character education for centuries. For over 2 millennia, from ancient Greece to the desks of American presidents like George Washington and Theodore Roosevelt, Stoicism has shaped leaders. What then does it mean to do the right thing? Let's return to the 4 key virtues we mentioned earlier in the episode and explore them in detail: courage, temperance, justice, and wisdom. First of all, deliberate on courage. You might be thinking that it has to do with never feeling fear. Rather, it's more about choosing to act despite that fear. You've got to face challenges head-on, risking for a greater good. Next, temperance. Now, this is the balance between cowardice and recklessness. It's bravery without foolishness. Thirdly, justice, the Stoics' crown jewel. Justice holds that we live for others, not just ourselves. Every action should uplift society. This means treating others with the respect, honesty, and fairness that we seek for ourselves. And then finally, wisdom. This is practicality in its purest form. It asks, how much courage is right here? What does justice demand in this moment? Wisdom transforms philosophical concepts into concrete actions that benefit us in the long term. But how do we move from purely understanding these virtues to living them? Here lies the challenge and the reward. The power of stories, especially those from Greek mythology or historical figures, is our bridge. These narratives entertain us, for they demonstrate virtues in action. Think of Hercules, who chose a life of heroic challenges over comfort, or Odysseus, whose cunning led him safely past countless dangers. Like building muscle at the gym, developing virtue requires consistency and effort. It's tough in the beginning, but as you engage deeply and reflect regularly, your character, like muscle, gets stronger. This, dear ladies and gentlemen, is the essence of Stoicism. Persistent practice in pursuit of moral excellence. So, let these stories inspire you, and let your daily actions reflect these timeless virtues. Your path to a noble, fulfilling life is paved with the very principles you learn and live by each day. Now, if you've been flexing those moral muscles, it's time to shake things up. Let's dive into Chapter 7, The Power of Self-Disruption. You're stuck in your ways. The routine feels safe, doesn't it? But let me tell you, sticking to the same old is a direct path to being overtaken by those who dare to adapt. Think about it. You're not truly in control if you're just drifting along, letting habits dictate your life. You must ask yourself, does this way of living truly satisfy you? Or do you sense deep down that there's more out there, waiting for you to seize it? Here's the cold, hard truth. If you want to prosper, not just survive, you need to disrupt yourself. Consider how Silicon Valley startups skyrocket to success. They don't get there by playing it safe. They break the mold, go beyond everyone's expectations, constantly innovating and moving forward. Why shouldn't you do the same with your life? Now, you might wonder, what's the secret of those who make it big? Here's the key. They recognize patterns and break them before they become traps. They have the foresight to act boldly and promptly, often making moves before it's obviously necessary. Look, most people don't hunt for new opportunities because they fear risking what they've already built. But remember, stagnation is a slow killer. Success doesn't crumble from swift action, it declines from hesitation and delay. Let's break this down simply. Think about climbing a mountain. Initially, there's uncertainty and the journey is tough, but the climber is agile, keen to explore various paths. This phase is all about discovery and building momentum. As the climber gets higher, things start to become more routine. The path that once was adventurous now feels secure, predictable. But what happens when an unexpected storm hits or a new path surfaces? The seasoned climber, set in their ways, might miss the new route or underestimate the storm. That's the trap of comfort. The routines that once made you successful can become your biggest obstacle. The real challenge is recognizing when it's time to shift gears, to accept the storm or the new path, even if it's deterring. Initially, these new challenges don't seem threatening, and they're easy to dismiss. But as they grow, their impact becomes undeniable. Ultimately, adapting to these changes propels you to a new level of success. So, how do you apply this to your life in a Stoic way? Start by examining your daily routines critically. Which habits serve you and which hold you back? Be proactive. Make small changes that challenge your comfort zone. Don't just think differently, act differently. Each step outside your comfort zone is a step toward a more adaptable you. Back in the day, Bob Iger made a radical decision that might have seemed counterintuitive at the time. He chose to pull Disney's content from Netflix, forfeiting $150–200 million in the process. Most would hesitate, right? Yet, Iger's choice represents a fundamental Stoic principle. Act according to what your future self will thank you for, not just what feels comfortable today. To Bob, he only thought about shaping Disney's long-term destiny. Now, think about this bold strategy. Launching Disney Plus in 2019 was a gamble, with projections suggesting it might take until 2022 to recoup the lost revenue. However, Iger's vision extended beyond the horizon of immediate profits. He understood something crucial. Real leaders succeed by anticipating change, not reacting to it. Under Iger's leadership, Disney sought to redefine its industry. By choosing not to sell to Netflix and instead focusing on its core offerings, movies, TV shows, and theme parks, Disney stayed healthy. And then came the acquisition of most of Fox's film and TV assets for $71 billion, significantly expanding Disney's footprint. Imagine if Iger had played it safe. Disney could have been on the other side of that deal, perhaps a chapter in someone else's expansion story. Once again, be disruptive. Do not resist it. By being disruptive, Iger transformed Disney into a powerhouse of entertainment and technology, competing against giants like Apple, Amazon, and Google. This was a Stoic mastery of change, beautifully characterizing the philosophy of controlling what one can and adapting swiftly to what one cannot. Now, let's draw a broader picture. The business landscape is rapidly evolving due to digital technology, globalization, and shifts in health and environmental policies. Look at enterprises like Google, Uber, and Airbnb. They started in one niche and now pioneer multiple industries, including banking and healthcare. Remember Reed Hastings of Netflix? His decision in July 2011 to raise DVD rental prices and push for online streaming met initial resistance, yet it positioned Netflix to lead in the new era of technology. This lesson, however, isn't confined to tech moguls. It's everywhere, across all sectors: construction, manufacturing, education, you name it. You must always foresee and adapt to changes. And what about you? Are you ready to adapt to change like Iger, to act boldly in the face of uncertainty? Stoicism teaches us that disruption is an opportunity and not an obstacle. Or perhaps the better question isn't whether you can afford to disrupt your life. The real question is, can you afford not to? And that brings us to our next point with Chapter 8. Leveraging Disruption for Serenity. You see, you can't dodge life's disruptions. Seeking tranquility won't require you to shield yourself from the noise or the chaos. Instead, you must know how to respond to them. There are better places to look for inner peace other than in brief moments of silence. You're better off finding inner peace through understanding and balancing life's highs and lows. This is your true path to serenity. Consider Marcus Aurelius, an emblem of Stoicism. Picture him, a Roman emperor, not meditating in the comfort of a palace, but reflecting on his thoughts in a battlefield tent. His ability to find clarity while managing an empire and handling war is more than inspiring. It's a direct lesson for us. In today's uncompromising digital age, where our battles often involve mental struggles or endless screen time, his example is incredibly significant. If Marcus could find tranquility during literal and figurative storms, why can't we find our own peace during lesser chaos? Stoics like Seneca emphasized the folly of suffering over imagined troubles. Our mind can indeed be our worst enemy, creating fears and anxieties from mere shadows of reality. Although we will discuss this in greater detail in a later chapter, it is worth noting for now that we often find ourselves lost in worries about events that haven't occurred or might never happen. We fret over others' opinions, dread forthcoming events, or brace for conflicts that exist only in our minds. This endless cycle of needless worry must be broken. Only you can break it, for your mind is everything, and your mind dictates what can or can't be done. The only time such thoughts serve us is when we use them constructively through negative visualization. This technique involves deliberately contemplating potential negative scenarios to mentally prepare and strategize our response, transforming anxiety into action. You should remember once more that Stoicism teaches us to master our emotions, not to suppress or fake them, and that we ought to understand them greatly. Mastery here means recognizing your emotional state as it happens. Once aware, you're better equipped to act, both immediately and in the long run. You don't have to change how you feel on an urge. You have to respond to your feelings with thoughtful, constructive actions. In the short term, you must learn to act through reason instead of letting emotions lead. You have to catch yourself right when you're about to react emotionally and consciously, choosing a rational response instead. And how do you do this? By recognizing when emotions are starting to bubble up, pausing, and redirecting your actions through thoughtful decision-making. Once again, this doesn't mean you have to suppress your emotions, but rather, you've got to manage your emotions wisely. For the long haul, you should transform how you process and perceive the events in your life. This means identifying what triggers negative emotions like anger, frustration, and envy. Once you pinpoint these triggers, you work on reframing how you view them, making you more resilient and less reactive. When you alter your perception of the external world, you change your emotional responses to it. Stoicism doesn't just encourage this. In fact, it provides a framework for it. Just how you would do in the short term, this philosophy also urges you to pause, reflect, and choose actions that align with virtue over knee-jerk reactions based on fear or anger. And we must say it again, Stoicism champions the power of choice, your ability to decide how you respond to any situation. This autonomy is crucial for maintaining inner peace. Another fundamental Stoic practice is rationalization. By evaluating your thoughts and beliefs for their truth and rationality, you challenge your perceptions and assumptions. This critical analysis helps you develop a more objective view of the world, allowing you to find stability when the going gets rough. This approach is also influenced by the Socratic method, highlighting continual questioning to achieve deeper understanding. Since Seneca and other Stoic philosophers often remind us that many of our troubles stem from exaggerated or imagined scenarios, by learning to distinguish reality from perception, you liberate yourself from unnecessary worries and achieve tranquility. Rationalization teaches you that while you can't control external events, you can control your reactions to them. In other words, be rational. And since we've talked a bit about gratitude and simplicity earlier, you must always keep in mind that Stoicism encourages mindfulness and connection with nature, urging you to recognize the joy in the present. Therefore, each morning, remind yourself of the privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, think, enjoy, and love. This practice deepens your appreciation for the world around you and brings moments of peace into everyday life. This brings you closer to tranquility, to serenity. So, are you ready to change how you face life's disruptions? Remember, the Stoic finds peace not by avoiding the storm, but by learning to go out and play in the rain. So, let's ask again. Can you afford to let another day pass dominated by unfounded fears, or will you step up and take control of your inner world? Next, let's move on to Chapter 9. The Power of Perspective in Crisis. In every life, disasters strike. You might lose a loved one, a job, or a cherished relationship. These moments feel shattering, overwhelming. But what if I told you that your reaction to these disasters could transform your life? We're not simply being optimistic here. This is Stoicism. Remember what we talked about earlier. The Stoic way is to utilize your emotions and not suppress them. Imagine you've lost a job or a business. It's easy to let this loss dictate your mood and self-worth. But Stoicism urges you to shift your perspective. What's in your control? Your next steps, your response, your hardiness. Consider this. Every crisis tests and reveals your character. You don't build character during good times. Character is forged in the fires of adversity. Think of that cyclical quote. Hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. And so, what will your fire reveal about you? You see, Stoicism teaches us that suffering and loss are inevitable. The question is, do you let them defeat you, or do you grow stronger from them? For example, if you lose someone dear, you can't change that they're gone. But you can choose how to remember them. How will you honor their memory? How will you live differently because of their influence? Stoicism stresses that suffering isn't inherently bad. It might sound strange, but suffering can be a powerful tool for personal growth. Can you accept your pain and use it as a means to become a stronger, more resilient person? You must accept loss and suffering as part of life. Focus on what you can control. Use suffering as a tool for growth. Live a fulfilling, meaningful life. Yes, even during adversity. Remember, the true test of your character is not how you flourish in comfort, but how you stand in chaos. Since loss is a certainty in life, the emotions tied to these losses, sadness, anger, frustration, are intense and real. But here's the good news. Stoicism provides a powerful blueprint for enduring these losses and growing from them, and that's precisely what we will get into now. First, there's acceptance. Remember to accept what you cannot control and channel your energy into what you can. When loss hits, it's natural to feel overwhelmed by emotions. Instead of resisting these feelings, accept them as part of your journey. For instance, if you're suddenly jobless, you can't undo being laid off, but you can decide how to respond. Will you update your resume, reach out to your network, apply for new opportunities? Acceptance isn't passive resignation. Acceptance is actively choosing where to focus your efforts to move forward. Then we have resilience. Developing inner strength is central to Stoicism. You must develop virtues like courage, wisdom, and self-control. These are your practical Stoic tools. Say you've lost someone dear. Building resilience might mean leaning on friends, engaging in physical activity, or seeking professional guidance. These actions fortify you, helping you go through grief toward recovery. Thirdly, focus on personal growth and virtue. Since the Stoic goal is focused on having a virtuous life, continually striving for personal improvement is the way to go. This mindset transforms loss into a pathway for personal evolution, for it provides a positive type of distraction to help you overcome the loss or suffering. So, if you ended a relationship, then channel your energy into personal goals or new interests. Engage with your community. Every step in personal development helps redefine your purpose, ensuring that your life remains rich and meaningful, irrespective of external losses. Moving on, let us reflect on Seneca, one of the wealthiest men in ancient Rome. His life was marked by significant adversity, including a death sentence by an emperor. Despite these trials, or perhaps because of them, Seneca sought to transform misfortune into opportunity for betterment. Then, at the age of 43, Seneca's eloquence nearly cost him his life. Emperor Caligula, driven by envy over a particularly impressive speech Seneca delivered, contemplated his execution. It was only the intervention of Caligula's mistress, who assumed Seneca's illness would soon claim his life, that spared him this time. Just 2 years later, Emperor Claudius, under fabricated accusations, banished Seneca to Corsica, stripping him of half his wealth. This exile coincided tragically with the death of his infant son, deepening his solitude. On this remote island, separated from his wife and in the middle of personal grief, Seneca found peace in writing. It was his only refuge. After 8 long years, Rome called him back, not for recognition, but to tutor the young Nero, a task heavy with its own challenges. Despite Seneca's best efforts, Nero rejected all philosophical and ethical teachings, growing instead into a self-indulgent tyrant. Ultimately, Nero's reign of terror would claim the lives of his closest kin, including his own mother, brother, and wife. Seneca himself was not spared. At 69, under Nero's orders, he too was compelled to end his own life. Yet, Seneca's story is not simply one of suffering, for we learn a great deal of Stoic endurance from this great man. Facing his imposed death, Seneca seized this final moment to impart wisdom, similar to Socrates' peaceful acceptance of hemlock. Prepared for death through years of philosophical discipline, Seneca faced his end without fear, reportedly stating, "Given that Nero killed his own family, it's unsurprising he would kill his tutor as well." His final thoughts, though lost to history, likely touched base with Socrates' defiant proclamation, in which he said, "While you can kill me, you can't harm me." This shows us the Stoic belief that, while you may destroy the physical body, the inner spirit, the true self, remains invincible. Seneca's life teaches us the very same powerful lesson that we're talking about here. True resilience lies in transforming adversity and not in avoiding it. Each trial, each betrayal, and even death itself can be a source of strength. How then will you face your trials? Will you let them define you, or will you redefine them through the lens of Stoic wisdom? And as you face your own challenges, consider the Stoic principles that we've been talking about. Can you accept the unchangeable? How will you build your resilience? And what steps will you take today toward personal growth? Remember our earlier lessons. It's not the events in your life that define you, but how you respond to them. And now that you've understood that you ought to accept what life throws at you with a solid stance, you may wonder how such a principle might really help when fear starts nibbling at your peace of mind. Hang tight, because we're tackling just that in Chapter 10. Conquering Fear with Stoic Self-Control. Paranoia and fear can cripple you. When fear takes over, it clouds your vision and blinds your reality. This is where Stoicism steps in, offering self-control as your shield against the anarchy of fear. Think about it. Fear often leads to irrational thoughts. If you fear that others are out to sabotage your success and you don't manage these thoughts, you'll start seeing enemies everywhere. Fear acts like a magnet. What you fear, you attract. In essence, fear can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. And according to Stoicism, happiness comes from aligning our personal nature with the universal nature. So, how do we prevent the painful split between our individual nature and the universal one? And how do we ensure our fears do not derail us from our true path? By understanding and practicing Stoic self-control, we align ourselves with the flow of nature and find peace, even if things around us are a total mess. But do you sometimes feel like you're drowning in negative emotions? Anxiety, anger, fear, and envy can pull you under, impacting everything from family life to your effectiveness as a leader. Many say, hope is not a strategy, critiquing passive expectations of a better future. Yet, hope and fear are two sides of the same coin. They both involve projecting our thoughts onto future events we cannot control. The Stoic wisdom from Hecato of Rhodes, retold by Seneca, tells us, "When we cease to hope, we will cease to fear." The lesson here is powerful. Avoid getting entangled in future worries which only birth anxiety. Instead, attach yourself in the present, where you can truly make a difference. Now, let's tackle anger, a major focus for the Stoics. Athenodorus Canaanites advised Emperor Augustus with a simple but powerful strategy. "Whenever you feel yourself getting angry, Caesar," he said, "don't say or do anything until you've recited the 24 letters of the alphabet to yourself." Now, why do you think he advised such a thing to the emperor? Well, because time and distance are your allies against anger, which often causes more problems than the triggers themselves. Even Seneca, when he was exiled for 8 years, wrote extensively about anger during his isolation in Corsica. He dedicated this treatise on anger to his brother. Yet, in our times, we're living in times loaded with anger, often self-perpetuating, as Seneca described it as anger biting itself. Marcus Aurelius, on the other hand, advocated for a different approach. He felt that gentleness and civility was deemed more appropriate when it comes to anger. He argued that these qualities are more humane and more effective. Being distant from anger strengthens us, he believed. So, for now, ask yourself, what emotional baggage are you carrying that might be holding you back? And how can you shift your focus to the present, where your actions can have a meaningful impact? Remember, the power to change your emotional landscape is in your hands. Use it wisely. Going back to our discussion, think of yourself as an archer living in the Middle Ages, or even in ancient times. You aim and shoot with precision, but once the arrow flies, it's subject to the wind's impulses. Success doesn't necessarily have to do with you hitting the target. The real deal is in taking the shot with skill and focus. This is true for everything in life. Therefore, you must strive to be competent and lovable, but detach from the need to be recognized or loved, because that's what breeds and grooms the ego. That part isn't up to you. You can even consider life as a game. If you obsess over winning rather than playing, the game turns into a stressful battle. Instead, play with dedication and joy. That's a true victory, likely leading to winning in the traditional sense too. But one might still wonder, why do we suffer anxiety and fear? Well, it comes from a desire to control the uncontrollable. If we let go of this desire, understanding that outcomes will unfold as they will, we free ourselves from these burdens. Epictetus pointedly asks, "When I see a man anxious, I say, what does this man want? If he did not want something which is not in his power, how could he be anxious?" Facing a future that's not ours to give, hope and fear are not just unnecessary, they're obstructive. It's like you're preparing for a speech. The energy you spend worrying about audience reception could instead refine your presentation. This point takes us to the fundamental Stoic principle. By focusing on what you control, you perform better, and are more likely achieve a positive outcome. And with that being said, keep Seneca's quote in mind, the one where he stated that more things frighten us than really affect us, and we are more often afflicted in thought than in fact. Remember this as you go through life. Now, hold on to that thought as we get into Chapter 11. Mastering Non-Reactivity. Let's talk more about anger, for anger is a drain, a wasteful emotion that saps your energy and gains you nothing. Stoics argue that getting angry is pointless because it achieves no good results. It's much more effective to practice non-reactivity, particularly when faced with things beyond your control. Think of anger as a virus. If you let it loose, it will spread. If you project anger onto others, it inevitably bounces back onto you. It's a true self-defeating cycle. Then think of your daily life. Your phone constantly alerts you, your email inbox never empties, and demands on your time seem endless. Reacting to every stressor, from news headlines to traffic jams, can leave you feeling constantly on edge. The solution: be non-reactive. This skill is necessary for you to maintain peace and happiness in your hectic life. And here's a practical tip for you. When you start feeling tense, pause and breathe deeply. This simple act can relax your body and clear your mind, helping you see the situation more objectively. With practice, responding calmly will become automatic, enhancing your ability to handle stressful encounters, especially with difficult individuals. So, the next time you're cut off in traffic, instead of reacting with honks and insults, breathe deeply and relax your response. You see, arguments can escalate quickly, leading us to say things we regret. That is why, before you react, you must pause to think. This brief moment of respite is what separates the rational from the irrational. It is in this brief moment that you ought to step back and gather all the necessary information. If something is unclear, ask for clarification. This approach prevents misunderstandings and guarantees you respond in a non-threatening, non-defensive manner. It's better to seek understanding than to jump to conclusions, and always consider that you might be wrong. Take Seneca, for instance. It was in public baths, where the noise was enough to drive anyone to distraction, that he found his sanctuary. Despite the commotion that would unsettle most, he wrote his essays, his focus unshaken. This was indeed a challenge he took upon himself, turning disturbance into opportunity. From this, we learn that turmoil doesn't exist in the noise outside, but in our reactions to it. Take a look at Seneca's daily writings, for they were proof that peace is made, not found. Then think about Socrates, who, whenever he strolled through the markets of Athens, observed the multitude of goods on display. As he walked, he made a simple yet forceful declaration unto himself: "What a lot of things I don't need." This statement, straightforward yet revolutionary, overcame the disease of consumerism. Socrates demonstrated Stoic wisdom beautifully. Freedom isn't about gathering more, but desiring less. In a society that equated wealth with worth, he adopted simplicity, showing that true richness lies in non-reactivity. Then there's Epictetus, born a slave, who one day found his lamp stolen. Instead of anger, he saw a lesson in detachment, saying, "It is only natural for a thief to take," almost amused that nothing else was taken. He understood that anger was pointless, and that what he truly owned, his reasoned choice and inner peace, were untouchable. Funny enough, Epictetus also remarked that he was surprised the thief had also not taken the wick. Moving on, it's also worth mentioning Cato the Younger, who crossed the harsh deserts of North Africa with his soldiers. His leadership was super stoic. Facing grueling conditions and potential despair, he maintained a demeanor as steady as the desert itself. His example taught his men that even in extreme adversity, one's mind could remain a fortress of serenity. Now, this here is nothing short of bravery against all odds, is it not? And in a more modern context, think of Abraham Lincoln during the American Civil War. Faced with immense frustrations, Lincoln wrote his so-named hot letters, capturing his heated initial reactions. Yet he never sent them. They were set aside until his anger subsided. This practice was his method of applying Stoic discipline, allowing reflection to temper reaction, transforming impulsive emotion into calculated action. Similarly, Thomas Jefferson's advice beautifully showcases Stoic restraint when he stated, "When angry, count to 10 before you speak. If very angry, count to 100. Quite inspiring indeed. At the end of the day, we all have triggers, specific things that spark a negative reaction in us, like feeling disrespected, belittled, threatened, or ignored. Recognizing these triggers is the first step to managing them. Once you identify what sets you off, you can learn to handle these situations non-reactively. For instance, if disrespect triggers you, practice calming yourself and seeking clarity in those moments. If you get agitated when someone doesn't respond to your message, then accept the fact that this person may not respond long before you send that message. Just send it and forget it ever happened. If they reply, good. If not, then no harm done. Be the better person. By doing this, you train yourself to respond rather than react, transforming potential conflicts into opportunities for personal growth and understanding. Now, it's tempting to take life's ups and downs personally. When someone's actions unsettle you, your first reaction might be to react or feel targeted. Yet, Stoicism teaches us a powerful lesson. Not everything is about you. This realization can greatly transform how you interact with the world. That is why you are being advised to pause and consider why someone might act in a way that bothers you. Is it truly about you, or could it be a reflection of their struggles or emotions? Recognize and remember that you cannot control others' actions, only your response to them. By stepping back and not taking things personally, you open the door to reacting calmly and constructively. Now, take a quick breather and assess your feelings. Are you angry at something or someone? Disappointed? Identifying your emotions clarifies their origins and helps you address them more effectively. For instance, if someone cuts you off in traffic and anger flares up, remind yourself of the bigger picture. It's not a personal attack, but an impersonal moment of frustration. The other person simply wanted to get ahead, driven by their own frustration in the ugly traffic, just as you might have been. They saw an opening and took it before you could, perhaps without you even considering it. This clarity can transform your reaction from heated to composed. Expressing your needs is crucial, but so is knowing when to stop. After making your needs clear, allow the other person space to respond. This can prevent conversations from becoming reactive and gives you a moment to observe and adjust to the unfolding situation. And what about silence? In our talkative society, silence is often uncomfortable, but it can be a powerful tool. Many consider silence to be golden, for it is another form of pause that can also help you regain composure and respond thoughtfully. However, with silence, you're already composed, and you've had more time to gather your thoughts compared to when you were talking. So, consider how you react to life's good and bad moments. Do you cling to joy, fearing its end, or do you dwell on misfortunes, allowing them to sour your mood? Stoicism encourages equanimity, which is when someone approaches all of life's moments with a stable, peaceful demeanor. This balance helps you remain in control by life's swings, empowering you to face each situation with a calm, non-reactive stance. Think about how you will apply this newfound perspective today and contemplate on whether you see beyond the immediate and recognize the deeper currents shaping your reactions. Mastery of this skill can significantly improve your interactions and your life's tranquility. Now, let's take it a step further with Chapter 12, The Limitlessness of Perspective. Marcus Aurelius once observed that the stars wash away the dust of earthly life. This deep insight encourages you to clear your mind of day-to-day troubles by recognizing their relative insignificance in the enormity of the universe. When you compare your problems to the endless spread of the universe, they shrink to almost nothing. Don't let yourself be fooled into thinking they are more than they are. Sometimes, just look up at the stars and remember that it's a privilege just to experience the wonders of Earth. The Stoics, along with the Platonists and Epicureans, practiced a powerful technique, zooming out to gain perspective. And since Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to look up and contemplate the night sky, he called it a form of astrotherapy, where one views the stars as if he was orbiting among them and contemplating the eternal movements of the elements. Such visions, he said, purge away the dust of our earthbound life. This approach is essentially a method of cognitive distancing. Instead of exaggerating your problems, making mountains out of molehills, you minimize them, turning each mountain back into a molehill. This perspective isn't unique to Stoicism. Think about Cicero's dream of Scipio, where Scipio Africanus experiences a vision of ascending from the battlefield to space, each step freeing him from earthly concerns. Marcus Aurelius also used his contemplation of the universe to develop an ecocentric view, seeing his life as just one part of a greater whole. He believed in a universe guided by divine providence, or the Logos, suggesting that everything that happens is part of a grander plan. If you recall, this is something we briefly mentioned much earlier in the episode. So, the next time you find yourself overwhelmed, take a moment to look at the stars. Think about the massive universe. Let this perspective be your guide, and ask yourself, in the grand scheme of things, how significant are my troubles? Let the sky be a reminder of the bigger picture, helping you to pass through life with a calmer, more stoic perspective. Now, have you ever felt disconnected from the world around you? It's easy to get caught up in the labels and distinctions we impose on our surroundings, good or bad, beautiful or ugly. But Stoicism offers a radical shift in perspective, because Stoicism believes that everything is interconnected. Nothing exists in isolation. This concept might seem huge, but let's make it simple. Imagine you're looking at a map. You see continents like Asia and Europe, just small parts of a larger whole. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on this. He thought of every sea as just a drop of water and every mountain as a plain speck of dirt. To him, the present moment was the tiniest point in eternity. Everything around us, big or small, is transient and ever-changing. Now, think of the universe as a living being, one giant organism with a single substance, soul and purpose. Every element, from the stars to the seas to us, moves in harmony. Even things that seem harmful or unpleasant, like a lion's jaws or a poisonous plant, are part of this interconnected relationship. They all come from the same noble source that you respect and are connected to it. Marcus Aurelius used to remind himself not to say, "I am an Athenian," or "I am a Roman." Rather, he insisted that he was a citizen of the universe. He did this repeatedly to drill it into his mindset. You might ask, why does this matter to you? Well, by seeing yourself as part of a larger whole, you can go beyond petty concerns and daily irritations. You start to see how your actions contribute to the universal flow, and how by aligning with this flow, you can live more harmoniously, more pleasantly. So, how will you remind yourself of this interconnectedness today? And how will you shift your perspective to see yourself not just as an individual, but as an integral part of the universe? Now, let's dig into something equally thought-provoking in Chapter 13, The Stoic Practice of Poverty. What if taking up poverty occasionally could actually enrich your life? After all, the Stoics were practical realists. They believed that by practicing poverty, especially during good times, you could become skilled at handling life's inevitable lows. Comfort, they warned, might feel secure, but it can enslave you. If you're always afraid of losing what you have, you're not really free. Consider this. What if you knew the worst that could happen and faced it willingly? Could you imagine losing everything in life yet remaining calm? People might call it resilience, but it's really just preparation. Let's take it up a notch, or two. What if stepping out of your comfortable home to camp under the stars could strip away your reliance on modern conveniences, teaching you resilience and appreciation for simplicity? Or what if a week away from your smartphone and social media could clear your mind, stressing the freedom of living in the moment? Or perhaps, what if adopting a minimalist lifestyle, purging your home of unneeded items like we talked about before, could uncover a deeper sense of satisfaction than purchasing ever could? Poverty has different meanings, and there are many ways you can practice it beyond the methods we just mentioned. To give you more ideas, what if periodic fasting reset your physical health and helped you reinforce your willpower and gratitude for every meal? Sounds reasonable, no? And what if learning to make fire, build shelter, and find food in the wild prepared you for unexpected challenges back in civilization? Preparing for the worst is very wise indeed. Or what if restricting your spending to the bare essentials for a month could illuminate the true value of your earnings and the unnecessary excesses in your life? Or how about if you created something with your own hands? Won't it reconnect you to the basics of human ingenuity and patience? Our forebears did it, so why not you? You could also think about growing your own vegetables, for it could teach you about the cycles of nature and the steady effort required to sustain oneself. But to feel the essence of poverty, what if volunteering in a struggling community could open your eyes to the sad realities outside your comfort zone? Wouldn't it enhance your empathy and ground your perspective? Would you choose to take the bus or the train instead of driving? Perhaps it could expose you to the lives of others in your community, to improve your sense of connection and patience, no? Or perhaps to do something that can benefit only you and you alone. How does a silent retreat sound? Wouldn't it help you dive deep into your mind, confronting and calming the internal hurricanes and tornadoes that you usually ignore? Think about it. Think about all these different scenarios and how you would fare if you were to adopt any one of them, not out of necessity, but by choice. How might such experiences fortify your mind and spirit? Most likely, it will teach you that true freedom is not about having more, but being more. Now, here's a much simpler, straightforward action you can take. Every couple of months, eat like you're on a tight budget for a week. Choose simple, inexpensive meals. Think beans and rice. Do not do it for the sake of saving money. This is a powerful exercise in empathy and strength. It will teach you to appreciate what you have and prepares you to be unshaken if you ever really need to make do with less. At the same time, it will also help you care less about the things that you don't have in life. You see, voluntary discomfort might seem counterintuitive. You might ask, why would anyone choose discomfort? But think about it like going to the gym. If you regularly lift weights, carrying groceries suddenly isn't so tough. Voluntary discomfort works the same way, but on a deeper level. On a more painful level, it's no different from visiting a dentist to scrape your teeth. The scraping process might hurt a bit, but it's for the greater good of your dental care. So, at the end of the day, you're not just taking cold showers or eating simple meals to practice poverty in your life. You're stepping out of your comfort zone in ways that challenge you physically and emotionally. To give you another example, let's say you hate or fear public speaking. The way to confront this fear is by speaking to small groups, then gradually increasing your audience size. This way, you are enduring discomfort. You are transforming your relationship with fear, discomfort, and ultimately, with freedom. These practices are truly a most miraculous safeguard for you and a pathway to genuine self-reliance. When you routinely strip away comforts, you're preparing for bad times. You're proving to yourself that you can prosper and succeed in life with far less. This realization that fortune's changes cannot truly control you is the real treasure of Stoic poverty. Think about it. This will most certainly toughen you up and protect you from becoming too soft. Softness is what makes a person crumble under pressure or during difficult times. Softness is what happens when luxury and comfort take over one's life. Take Seneca, for example. Now, here's a wealthy Roman statesman who had everything a man could ask for. He famously practiced voluntary discomfort regularly. He ate simple, basic meals. He wore rough, uncomfortable clothing. He even swam in cold water. You must be asking, why on earth would someone so wealthy do this? Well, Seneca believed that by living like the less fortunate, he would build empathy and prepare himself for any future hardships. And guess what? He did encounter hardships eventually. Seneca often wrote to his friend Lucilius about these practices. He emphasized the benefits of a modest diet and warned against being controlled by desires. At first, giving up your favorite foods feels tough. Sugar and carbohydrates especially. Your body rebels, sometimes in a rather rough way. But with time, those cravings fade, and you no longer miss what you once desired. This change strengthens your willpower. Think about it. By abstaining from indulgences, especially when everyone else is indulging, you test your strength. Festivities are the perfect time to challenge yourself. Instead of giving in to excess, you can practice restraint. This tests and builds your self-control. To give you another expressive example, consider the tale of James, a man who never knew hardship until it hit him like a freight train. Born into wealth, his every desire catered to, James lived a life many would envy, a life of absolute comfort and zero struggle. His parents, desperate to provide the best, protected him from every conceivable difficulty. He never learned to fend for himself, never had to. Then, suddenly, tragedy struck. Both of his parents passed away unexpectedly, leaving James not only emotionally devastated, but utterly unprepared for life on his own. Overnight, the safety net vanished. Bills piled up, decisions needed making, and James found himself paralyzed, lost in a world that demanded more than he had ever been asked to give. His life, once a smooth sail, became an ocean of uncertainty because he had never learned to row against the current. So, once again, think of discomfort as a training ground, a place where you get prepared for real challenges, a place that makes you appreciate the comforts you usually take for granted. Why stop there when we can take a look at yet another example? Take the one and only Marcus Aurelius. This guy had everything: power, wealth, a palace. Yet he chose discomfort. Why? Because he knew it made him stronger. He slept on a rough military bed, or the floor instead of his plush palace bed. He practiced physical exercises like wrestling and boxing, influenced by his philosophy teacher, Diognetus. He wore rough Greek robes and adopted a simple life. This wasn't for show. He was building resilience. Think again about your life. Where can you introduce a bit of discomfort? It doesn't have to be extreme. Start small. You don't need to do these things every day. Pick a couple and do them a few times a week. Tailor these practices to suit you. Do not punish yourself, however. At the same time, don't go overboard. You're only helping yourself grow stronger to become a more disciplined person. This practice is powerful. Give it a shot and see how it transforms your life. So, by now, are you comfortable with the idea of discomfort? Great, let's dive into something equally transformative in Chapter 14. The Truth About Seeking Approval. In Stoicism, there's a strong lesson about the senselessness of chasing others' approval. Think about it. The very people you try to impress are wrestling with their own struggles and addictions. They are no wiser than anyone else. So why dedicate your life's purpose to gaining their approval? This is not only misguided, it's counterproductive. Focus on enriching yourself. Pursue personal growth and wisdom from those dedicated to the greater good. Seek to impress yourself, not others. Do what makes you happy. Do everything that you do for yourself, not for anyone else. Let your actions be bold, and if need be, ask for forgiveness later. Social influence is undeniably effective. It shapes our beliefs and behaviors, particularly in a world where everyone is hyper-connected. This influence drives the spread of ideas, amplifies fears, and organizes everything from protests to social movements. But here's a question. Does following the crowd because everyone is doing it sound like a thoughtful decision to you? When we see terms like best-selling or fastest-growing, we're seldom evaluating the product itself. Instead, we're buying into popularity, mistaking it for quality. This is conformity in disguise, an easy escape from the demanding task of independent thought. The desire to be liked and accepted is powerful, isn't it? We often modify our beliefs or behavior just to fit in, satisfying a deep emotional need for connection. This is known as the majority effect, which you can witness everywhere from jury deliberations to your daily scroll through social media. Then there's the expert effect, when confident voices in a group sway the majority, even if they repeat the same opinion enough times. But here's a Stoic twist. Your opinions should be strengthened by reason, not just by the reassurance of a group. Studies have shown that ideas can become more extreme when reiterated within a group, leading to polarized thinking. Online, ideas grow louder and can become detached from reality. Now, ask yourself, are these the foundations you want your beliefs to stand on? Or worse, are these the very foundations that you want your children's beliefs to stand on? For now, take a moment to question a popular opinion. Reflect on it independently. Is it truly beneficial, or is it just popular? Develop your inner wisdom by questioning the norm and prioritize actions that align with your personal growth and the greater good. Remember, true Stoic strength comes from internal approval, not external validation. The quest for validation is a powerful human experience. It reassures us that we matter and that our feelings and thoughts are significant. Validation can come from others, but the most empowering form of validation is the kind we provide ourselves. Despite being interdependent social beings who naturally enjoy acknowledgement from others, relying exclusively on external validation can be a slippery slope. Externally, we often seek constant encouragement and feedback to feel worthy. In this scenario, the opinions and approval of others can dominate our own self-assessment. We find ourselves constantly comparing ourselves to others, measuring our worth through their eyes. This dependency can lead us to modify or hide parts of ourselves just to fit in, be liked, or accepted, a phenomenon driven by normative social influence. On the flip side, internal validation empowers us to value ourselves without relying on external judgments. To accept our own thoughts and feelings as valid, despite what the rest of society might think, is an act of bravery in a world swamped with opinions and advertising telling us what's right or wrong. Worse yet, if you dare to believe in something outside the mainstream, you're quickly labeled or dismissed, or as they call it nowadays, cancelled. Are we just sheep? We each possess a unique mind, and we should use it as we see fit to its fullest potential. The real challenge lies in striking a balance between these outside influences and our own personal truths, taking in what's helpful and letting go of the rest. Remember, if you find peace in beliefs that aren't widely accepted, so what? Your world is within you, within your mind. Live by what your mind sees as the best life for you and what brings you peace and contentment. Striving for more internal validation and less reliance on external sources enhances our well-being. Problems arise when we lack self-validation. Over-reliance on external recognition indicates low self-esteem, and worse, it further erodes it, causing insecurity and diminishing self-confidence. This heavy reliance on others for self-worth often stems from underlying feelings of insecurity, anxiety, or a void within, worsening these feelings even more. Your next imperative for today is to recognize your own accomplishments and allow yourself to feel good about them, independent of others' opinions. Practicing self-kindness and respect lays the foundation for tremendous self-esteem. Remember, in Stoicism, the power to live a fulfilled life comes from within, not from the passing approval of the crowd. Self-determination is your capacity to steer the ship of your life, setting your own course. It's deeply tied to self-knowledge, secure self-esteem, and self-acceptance. When you accept yourself, you acknowledge your strengths and accomplishments, but you also face your weaknesses and imperfections without flinching. This kind of self-acceptance allows you to appreciate who you are, regardless of your flaws or achievements. It arms you against the inevitable criticisms and comparisons that come your way, boosting your self-motivation and resilience, especially during tough times. While high self-esteem seems desirable, not all self-esteem is beneficial. Fragile or unstable self-esteem depends too much on others' approval, craving constant attention and recognition. For your self-esteem to be genuinely solid, it must be rooted in a deep sense of internal worth, independent of others' opinions. Insecure self-esteem creates a thirst for external validation, much like an addiction. Social media often acts as a dealer in this scenario, offering a quick fix of likes and shares that soon requires another hit. The pursuit of online approval can lead to anxiety, depression, and unhealthy comparisons. The torrent of online interactions such as likes, comments, shares, creates a cycle of temporary validation and persistent self-doubt. Often, these online judgments say more about the commenters than about the person being judged. Yet, we tend to take this feedback to heart, letting it shape our self-image. If you find yourself overly reliant on external validation, it might be time to dial it back. To reinforce this advice in you, remember what Seneca, 2 millennia ago, reminded us of. What you think of yourself is far more important than what others think of you. Once again, define your own beliefs and feelings, independent of the crowd. Explore why you seek validation and from whom. Be honest with yourself. It's unrealistic to expect external approval to be the foundation of your self-worth or happiness. To shift from external to internal validation, become the source of your own praise. Don't wait for someone else to acknowledge your worth. Develop a supportive, self-accepting, and motivating attitude toward yourself. Spend more time alone, make decisions independently, and focus on your positive qualities. Remind yourself of your accomplishments and values. After all, who knows your abilities, thoughts, and dreams better than you? Build your own arsenal of self-affirmation that stands strong, irrespective of external approval. This is the path to true and sustaining self-esteem. With that in mind, let's move on to an essential keystone of personal success in Chapter 15. The foundation of mastery, discipline. Without discipline, you're essentially trying to find north inside a cave without having a compass. Consider this. An investor without discipline isn't really investing. He's gambling. Discipline guides you when the path isn't clear. It guides you when motivation fails to show up. You probably understand that discipline is necessary for personal growth and achieving success in all life areas. It keeps us focused, on task, and consistent, protecting us against the temptations that undermine our goals. Discipline is your defense against the temptation of harmful habits such as overeating, excessive gaming, binge-watching TV, drinking, or gambling. All of these habits can erode your well-being. Discipline helps you resist the pull of these distractions, keeping you aligned with your long-term objectives. But the benefits of discipline extend beyond just achieving goals. It boosts productivity by helping us organize and structure our lives more efficiently. It sharpens our focus, allowing us to prioritize tasks and minimize distractions. With discipline, you gain the power to resist short-term temptations in favor of long-term benefits. So, how can you build this essential skill? Start with daily reflections, morning and evening. A lot of our actions are habitual. We do them almost on autopilot. This automatic behavior can sometimes incorporate destructive habits that we've come to accept as normal. Reflecting allows us to revisit our day, pinpointing behaviors that might not serve us well. Start your day by using the first few minutes of your morning coffee to set your intentions for the day, rather than getting lost in social media. This simple shift can bring a more focused and calm start. On your way back home, switch from chewing over the day's frustrations to decompressing with calming music or an inspiring podcast, allowing you to reflect on successes and lessons rather than dwelling on the negative. Binaural beat or low-frequency music can do wonders for you. Furthermore, you should also break the cycle of eating lunch at your desk by moving to a new setting, using the time to refresh and plan a productive afternoon. And if you often skip the gym, reflect on the rejuvenating effect of your workout days to inspire consistent visits. You can even confront workplace stress by ending your day with a reflection on what triggers your stress and exploring healthier responses. At home, enhance family time by instituting a no-screens rule during the first hour of gathering to promote real connection. Also, reflect on your weekends. For instance, prioritize revitalizing activities and manage chores efficiently to ensure you end your Sunday feeling refreshed. To plan your days better, every morning, take a few moments to reflect on the day ahead. Set intentions on how you will handle and improve different areas of your life. In the evening, review your day's actions and behaviors. Identify where you could have been more disciplined. This helps you become more aware of your actions and enables you to make adjustments that align with your values and goals. Remember, discipline doesn't mean you have to restrict things from your life. You are liberating yourself from the madness of uncontrolled impulses. Remember our earliest lessons. When you realize that your thoughts, actions, and behaviors are yours to command, then you will truly hold the reins of your life. No one else is to blame for the choices you make. Want to quit a bad habit? That's on you. Fired up to start a new business venture? That's on you too. There's no other way. Start by evaluating your life. Divide your experiences into things you can influence and those you cannot. Pour your energy into areas where you can make a difference, usually your thoughts, actions, and attitudes. By focusing here and accepting what's beyond your reach, you sidestep distractions and zero in on what truly counts. We often shy away from challenges and adversity in daily life. While the notion of conquering a significant challenge is appealing, the harsh reality of facing one is less so. Yet, since Stoicism proposes that welcoming these hardships opens up numerous growth opportunities, you should seek out challenges that test your resolve and discipline instead of dodging difficulties or chasing comfort. It could be as simple as walking past your favorite donut shop without stopping, choosing a soft drink over alcohol at a bar, or sitting down to work on a project instead of gaming. Each small victory builds your capacity to handle bigger challenges. Also, don't forget that mindfulness plays a decisive role in cultivating discipline. You should develop a keen awareness of your thoughts, emotions, and actions as they occur. For instance, if reaching for your phone to scroll through social media is a reflex, practicing mindfulness allows you to catch yourself in the act. Recognize the trigger, halt the habit, and prepare yourself for future encounters. Or perhaps, next time you're on a train, instead of mindlessly swiping on your phone, why not read that book you've been putting off? By being mindful, you control how external events affect you internally, enabling actions that reflect your values and advance your goals. Your imperative herein is to identify a personal challenge you've been avoiding and face it head-on. Use this opportunity to strengthen your willpower and align your actions with your Stoic principles. Remember, every challenge you conquer fortifies your character and brings you closer to the Stoic ideal of self-mastery. Speaking of challenges, let's get into Chapter 16, The Power of Not Knowing. Acknowledging that you don't know everything is an opportunity in its own right. Many of us walk around masked in the illusion of complete knowledge, yet the universe of unknowns is limitless beyond measure. The true essence of learning begins with this humbling realization. When you think less of your own knowledge, you unlock a powerful avenue for growth and service. It's from this soil that true leaders arise. Ancient skeptics championed this notion, arguing against the very possibility of absolute knowledge. This reminds us of the idea of global fallibilism, which suggests certainty is an illusion. Consider the warning from the Temple of Apollo: surety, then ruin. It's a powerful reminder of the danger in assuming we know all. Even Socrates, through what's now known as Socratic ignorance, highlighted the wisdom in recognizing our knowledge gaps, a concept deeply rooted in Stoic philosophy. Why then do we become annoyed at the revelation of our ignorance? The moment someone exposes what we don't know, our first reaction is often defensive. I knew that, I just forgot. But did we really know? Or is it simply an outward show we maintain to avoid appearing unlearned before others? It's human nature to want to appear knowledgeable and insightful, to crave acceptance and respect for our intellect. This phenomenon is about personal pride, and it's rooted in our societal conditioning. From childhood, we're trained to have immediate answers. In school, not knowing something on the spot often meant embarrassment. Yet, as Epictetus pointed out, we cannot learn what we assume we already know. We must always remain students in the never-ending school of life, open to discovering and understanding more. Here's a quick imperative for you to follow. Today, let yourself not know. When a topic arises that you're unfamiliar with, welcome the chance to learn rather than pretend. Remember, admitting ignorance is the first step toward acquiring true knowledge. Don't see it as a setback, but as a path to deeper understanding and connection. Always consider yourself a traveler on an endless journey of learning, and let this perspective humble and guide you. Besides, what did we discuss in earlier chapters? Who cares what other people think of you? Whether you're knowledgeable or ignorant about something, that's your business, not anyone else's. Now, Socrates, a pioneer of critical thinking, often began dialogues by challenging the assumptions of his companions. This was a crucial reminder of the dangers of presuming knowledge. This assumption almost guarantees that truth, even if accessible, remains out of reach, simultaneously masking one's own ignorance. But what was Socrates' goal? Well, he wanted to shift people from a place of false confidence to a state of conscious humility and learning. Interestingly, not all dialogues followed this norm. Take The Statesman, for instance, where Socrates took a back seat. The participants here, geometers by profession, recognized and corrected their errors without the need for reminders. Their success hinged on strict logical precision and a readiness to revise their beliefs, unlike the ambitious, overconfident youths of other dialogues, where confidence often overshadowed competence. What set these geometers apart was their foundational approach. They began with an acknowledgement of their ignorance, thus paving the way for genuine knowledge acquisition. Unlike others, they didn't claim to know. They were open to learning, illustrating their learning curve through a genuine quest for understanding. So you see, the more we know, the more we realize the enormity of our ignorance. Every piece of information leads to further questions, much like a child's incessant why. Such inquiry can only be halted by submitting to an external authority, a common resolution in theistic beliefs where faith is the ultimate judge. Yet such certainty is often a facade, concealing ignorance beneath the mask of authority. As seekers of wisdom, we must recognize that our certainties may be upended by new information at any time. Therefore, true wisdom lies in acknowledging that our knowledge is simply a fragment of what could be known. No one has, or ever will, possess complete knowledge. Through this understanding, may you continually question, learn, and grow. Ready for the next chapter? This takes us to Chapter 17. The Endless Path of Stoic Growth. Similar to what we mentioned before, the journey of personal development in Stoicism knows no endpoint. You never truly reach mastery. Whether you're a teacher or a student, the pursuit of knowledge is eternal. Stoicism is not just a philosophy you adopt, it's a lifelong practice. Imagine trying to drink all the water in the ocean. That's like trying to master every aspect of Stoic wisdom. It's an infinite pursuit, and that's perfectly fine. Education, a foundation of Stoic philosophy, was viewed as a pathway to knowledge and as a vehicle for achieving practical wisdom and virtue. The Stoics championed education that is deeply practical, focused on real-life skills and knowledge. They placed a premium on self-improvement and the continuous quest for self-knowledge, advocating for education that extends throughout one's life. The uniqueness of Stoic education lies in its emphasis on the application of knowledge. Rather than getting lost in abstract theories, the Stoics believed in learning through real-world experiences. They argued that knowledge should be actionable and integrated into daily life. This hands-on approach is founded on the belief that true knowledge must serve a practical purpose. Even more, the Stoics viewed knowledge as a tool for understanding the natural world and living in harmony with it. They stressed the importance of understanding cause and effect, using knowledge to promote wise and virtuous living. As mentioned before, a fundamental principle of Stoic thought is the interconnectedness of all things. By recognizing these connections, we can gain a comprehensive understanding of the universe and our place within it. So, for today, you should also challenge yourself to apply a piece of knowledge in a practical way. Whether it's a simple life hack or a strong, deep, reflective philosophical insight, put it into action. See how this application affects your day-to-day decisions and interactions. Remember, you have to transform knowledge into wisdom through real-life application to succeed in this path of Stoic learning. Speaking of application, let's dive into Chapter 18, The Power of Work in Your Transformation. Have you ever noticed how often people seem to fade away shortly after retiring? It's a shocking fact, but there's a reason behind it. Now, you may think that work is all about earning a paycheck. That's not true, at least not in the Stoic sense. The Stoics see work as something that gives a person purpose. Waking up with a reason to face the day keeps your mind sharp and your spirit engaged. There's a deep satisfaction that comes from engaging in meaningful work. It's something that lounging on a beach, no matter how rich you are, just can't replace. Without it, it's easy to fall into a pitfalls of selfish desires and significance seeking, leading to self-destructive thoughts. So, yes, work is essential. The Stoics didn't just advocate working hard, they believed it was part of becoming your best self. To perform your work duties the Stoic way, you must strive every single day toward personal excellence and living with purpose. Whether you procrastinate or work non-stop, Stoicism offers a perspective that might change how you view your daily grind. Ever heard the saying, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way"? Marcus Aurelius said that. It means that every obstacle is actually a stepping stone. If something blocks your path, don't let it knock you down. Use it to drive yourself forward. Physical work strengthens the body, and mental challenges fortify the mind. Are you shying away from difficulties? Then you're missing out on discovering your true potential. It's through tackling these challenges that you truly meet yourself. It's easy to feel defeated by life's barriers, but overcoming them is how you grow. Strength and growth come only through persistent effort and facing hardships head-on. To those who prefer a leisurely life, this might sound demoralizing or even frightening. However, once you start putting in the effort, there's nothing more fulfilling than the fruits of hard work. Aside from the toil, hard work will make you enjoy the lasting rewards that far outweigh temporary comforts. Remember, it's the rough roads that lead to the heights of greatness. Choosing the easy path might get you to your destination, but you'll miss out on invaluable lessons along the way. And don't think of this as though it's glorifying suffering. No, it's about recognizing that tough times forge strong individuals, just like we said in an earlier chapter. When you achieve something truly valuable through hard work, the effort is momentary, but the benefits last. On the other hand, if you chase short-lived pleasures, the enjoyment is brief, but the regret lasts. Think about it. When was the last time taking the easy route gave you a lasting sense of achievement? Isn't it the battles fought and won that you hold dear? This is Stoicism in action, accepting challenges to transform your life, achieving greatness through grit and determination. So, ask yourself now, what's your next challenge and how will you use it to grow? Now, consider the experience of Musonius Rufus, a Stoic philosopher who found vitality in adversity. Despite multiple exiles, he observed that forced hardship often revitalized those who had previously pampered themselves in excessive luxury. Exile, then, often helped him to invigorate both body and spirit, proving sometimes what feels like punishment can actually be a powerful form of medicine. Rufus believed that without the constraints of our comfort zones, we rarely give ourselves what we truly need. The difficulties of exile, harsh as they might seem, often promote a healthier, stronger life. It has less to do with the burdens we carry and more to do with how we carry them. This notion aligns with a core Stoic principle. It's your approach to work, not the work itself, that defines your strength. Pleasure might consume us, but work fortifies us. So, the choice is clear. Imagine retiring early to a life of leisure on a tropical beach. Sounds ideal, right? Yet, such dreams seldom forge resilience or character. As mentioned earlier, you've got to engage in meaningful labor so that you may become your best self. Theodore Roosevelt once said, "Far and away the best prize that life has to offer is the chance to work hard at work worth doing." Now, Roosevelt wasn't only referring to keeping yourself busy. He suggested that we dedicate ourselves to endeavors that are truly worthwhile. After all, success doesn't just come, it's pursued through the unity of ambition and perseverance. Remember, time devoted to meaningful work is never wasted. If you ever feel that your work is pointless, perhaps it's not the concept of work that's the issue, but the nature of the tasks you've chosen. Love what you do and do what you love. Else how can you excel in something you have no passion for? Even more, how can you prosper and innovate when you lack the desire for it? How you approach each workday is important, according to Stoic wisdom. Start by eliminating anxiety. Focus intently on your tasks. Visualize your role, to be a good human being, and then act on it decisively. Marcus Aurelius advised treating every task as if it might be your last, focusing with the precision and dedication of a Roman. This means performing each action with seriousness, kindness, and fairness, while dismissing distractions. Yes, it is possible to live each moment with such clarity and purpose that you transform not just your tasks, but your entire life. It's an idea worthy of a spot on your cubicle wall, don't you think? Stop being pulled in every direction. But beware the other kind of distraction too. Those who toil endlessly, yet lack a clear purpose, are simply spinning their wheels, even if they're constantly busy. They're no different than a cog in a machine. In today's world, everyone wants a piece of your attention. Find what truly matters to you and dedicate yourself there. Remember, life feels incredibly short and tense for those who dwell on past regrets, ignore the present joys, and fear future uncertainties. If you're struggling with a challenging task, bring yourself back to this moment. When your focus is scattered across past and future, it's impossible to control the full potential of now. The real secret to life: fully immerse yourself in what you're doing right here, right now. Instead of calling it work, think of it as play. Stay present and watch your outlook transform. The results can be nothing short of miraculous. Marcus Aurelius also urges us to be authentic, shake off laziness, stay calm, and seize the extraordinary opportunities each day presents. Delaying tasks is the greatest thief of life. It steals each day as it comes and robs us of living in the present by dangling the future before us. The largest barrier to living is waiting for tomorrow, thereby losing today. You're focusing on what's under fortune's control, ignoring what you can actually manage. Ask yourself, what are you aiming for? The future is a fog of uncertainty, so live now. And if you frequently procrastinate, consider this wisdom from Seneca as a daily reminder. When you stop delaying tasks, your life can transform dramatically. Reflect on how long you've postponed actions, how many chances you've been given, and yet you failed to act. Eventually, you must acknowledge the reality of the world you inhabit, understand the forces that govern it, and the origins from which you arose. Time is passing, and if you don't use it to liberate yourself, it will slip away and never return. And since work is more than a means to an end, you should always think of it as an avenue for self-improvement. Many people say, when I'm 50, I'll relax. When I'm 60, I'll stop public duties. But what assurance do you have of more time? Who promises you that life will follow your plans? Isn't it shameful to reserve only the leftovers of your life for wisdom, to pursue enlightenment only in the moments left unused by other pursuits? How tragic it is to begin truly living only as life is ending. Every day should be seized. Indeed, the work that truly enriches your life goes far, far beyond the grind for money or running a business. Sure, your career might involve these elements, but don't let them be all-consuming. Choosing a career can be overwhelming, seeming almost random at times. Therefore, when deciding on a career or launching a business, reflect on this. Does your work align with what is meaningful, beneficial, and in harmony with the world around you? Consider the advice of the Stoics on the ideal livelihood for those who work the land. Now, they're not considered as farmers per se, because they are drawing sustenance and prosperity from the earth itself. Whether the land is state-owned or privately held, the land itself rewards those who tend it well, providing abundantly without compromising your dignity or self-respect. Even Musonius Rufus praised the life of a philosopher-farmer. While this specific lifestyle might not directly translate to modern times, the essence of his message, which is living a life of philosophical contemplation while being sustained by your own efforts on the land, is highly relevant. This model of living in tune with nature, like relying on the earth, our nurturer and mother, rather than on intermediaries, is a powerful ideal. A very powerful ideal indeed. Based on these thoughts, how does your current career stack up? If it doesn't inspire the same level of satisfaction, perhaps it's time to reassess either your path or your approach to your work. Remember, tranquility comes when you stop worrying about others' opinions. What truly counts is what you do. Moreover, are you chasing a career for external validation, or is it genuinely meaningful to you? Yes, we're briefly revisiting the topic of external validation because much of today's work is based on this very issue. For instance, many so-called entrepreneurs pursue this path only for fame and the praise of others, rather than for their own fulfillment or the greater good. It has become more of a popularity contest than actual work. So, reflecting on these questions is essential, as you don't want to look back with regret. With that in mind, Epictetus offers us a straightforward strategy. First, define who you want to be. Then, take the necessary steps to become that person. The best way to use your life is to dedicate it to pursuits that will endure long after you're gone. Ultimately, what constitutes meaningful work will vary from person to person. However, aim to choose a path that you believe has a lasting positive impact. Benjamin Franklin's words ring true here. Dost thou love life? Then do not squander time, for that's the stuff life is made of. To sum it up, if you cherish life, value your time. It's the very essence of life. If not, it's time for some deep soul-searching. Speaking of making things count, let's go into Chapter 19. Step Up and Inspire. Diogenes Laertius once said that nature determines the actions that are right for us. The basic instinct for all creatures, humans included, is survival. But don't mistake this for selfishness. Acting in harmony with nature means you're acting rationally. For us, rational beings, to live according to nature is to live according to reason. Since we're inherently social, our natural instincts push us to expand our circle, accepting even those who might be difficult or unkind. We're designed to be part of a community, to interact morally with others. Acting against this social nature is not just irrational, it's inhuman. We all understand basic moral principles characteristically or naturally. When someone acts brutally, we instinctively react by calling them animals. While this is not only an insult, it is a statement that they've strayed from what makes us human. Stoicism teaches us that our animal instincts evolve into reflective choices as we grow in reason. Therefore, what is instinct for animals becomes a choice for us, guided by reflection. To be truly calm, steady, and in control in the face of external events and in your actions means you have to respond to life's challenges with a commitment to your social duties. After all, we're not here just to exist. We're here to observe, interpret, and appreciate the universe and its workings. It's disgraceful for a human to live and die just as animals do. We start where they start, but we're meant to go beyond, to contemplate, understand, and live together in peace and harmony. We're part mortal and part divine, sharing our bodies with animals and our reason with the divine. While some may lean toward their mortal side, only a few aspire to what is divine and blessed. So, ask yourself, are you just watching life pass you by, or are you doing something truly inspiring with it? And have you ever wondered if your thoughts have the power to shape your life? It's a common question we encounter, especially with the popularity of concepts like the law of attraction, which suggests that the universe will bring you what you focus on. Marcus Aurelius and other Stoic philosophers did recognize the power of thoughts. Your soul takes on the color of your thoughts, the Stoics said. However, being Stoic doesn't mean you have to sit back and wait for the universe to deliver your desires, as modern thinkers would make you believe. The Stoic discipline of perception, which is understanding that we are defined by our thoughts, leads directly to the discipline of action. For Stoics, taking action is essential to make things happen. This greatly differs with the law of attraction's emphasis on broad mental attraction without corresponding action. Imagine if Seneca or Marcus told their followers to simply visualize success and wait. It sounds absurd, right? Instead, they preached a life-built action by action. Stoicism, after all, is fundamentally a philosophy of doing, of actively engaging with the world. You've got to set yourself up through disciplined perception to take necessary actions that transform these perceptions into reality. Stoicism has nothing to do with passive manifesting. That is what you might call hopium nowadays, which is simply and daftly relying on hope rather than work to obtain what you desire. The actions and efforts of your work are what pull the things you want toward you, just like a magnet. In a world that's unpredictable and largely beyond our control, Stoics believe in thinking, acting, and then accepting, not dreaming, expecting, and waiting. They approach life with maturity, not with the entitlement of naive children. Each day, a Stoic prepares for challenges by affirming, "I shall meet with meddling, ungrateful, violent, treacherous, envious, and unsociable people." But rather than becoming embittered or defeated, Stoics see these challenges as opportunities to exercise virtue and practice patience, understanding that everyone, even those who wrong us, shares a piece of the divine, similar to us in mind, if not in body. Marcus Aurelius once contemplated that working against one another contradicts our very nature. To turn away in anger, he suggested, is to work against someone directly. This powerful idea points out the Stoic commitment to the discipline of action, setting Stoicism apart from philosophies like Epicureanism and Cynicism. At the heart of this discipline lies the Stoic inner citadel, a fortress built on the principles of assent and desire, which restrains us for action in a world packed with often irrational, selfish, and troublesome people. Unlike other philosophies, Stoicism does not advocate withdrawing from society to find peace. Instead, it equips us to engage with the world and excel despite its chaos. Think again about the traits of different people which Marcus Aurelius listed: the meddling, the ungrateful, the violent, the treacherous, the envious, the unsociable. This perfectly describes the difficult people we all encounter in our everyday lives, no? Yet, Marcus Aurelius was not only pointing fingers. He was holding up a mirror to his own behaviors, and by extension, to ours. His message was clear: we must act with virtue and justice toward everyone, even those who exhibit these negative traits. This begins the real test of the Stoic disciplines of assent and desire, which is to maintain equanimity and act virtuously during challenging human interactions. Though initially you might feel targeted by Marcus's words, you will eventually realize the deeper challenge he presented. Stoic philosophy demands that we love our fellow humans, no matter how difficult they may be. This challenges the stereotype of Stoics as indifferent. Indeed, Marcus teaches us that we are all connected. Each of us shares a part of the divine mind, linked by the universal reason, or logos. Our rational faculties, fragments of this logos, bind us as members of a single global family. It is this connection that is important for anyone to understand the Stoic approach to love and action, especially toward those who seem least deserving. So, as you see, here, the philosophy takes an uphill turn, requiring us to cross some rough terrain. To live a life of Stoic virtue within the turmoil created by others relies heavily on the discipline of action. Stoic philosophy, which covers ethics, physics, and logic, forms an integrated whole that cannot be understood separately. While we may dissect it for educational purposes, truly living it requires adopting its holistic nature. Therefore, the interdependence of its parts means that each aspect improves our understanding of the others. As we close today's journey through Stoicism and the transformative power of this phenomenal philosophy, remember this: the path to personal greatness is seldom walked by those who seek comfort. True transformation requires courage, the courage to face the external obstacles which life throws at you, as well as the internal battles that define who you truly are. This, dear ladies and gentlemen, is the essence of Stoicism. So, keep pushing, keep striving, and never settle for less than what you can become. Every step you take on this rocky path is a step toward the greatness you are capable of achieving. Let this guide be your compass, and let your actions be your milestones. If today's session has inspired you, or if you found a new perspective on tackling life's challenges, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more insights. Share this journey with others who might be seeking the same transformation, and let's grow this community of modern Stoics.